In this video, I'll be checking out the Carabc D808 CarPlay and Android Auto portable display. This is a portable high quality display with great brightness, a laminated display, thin bezels and a single power cable that adopts a 3-in-1 design to not only power the display but also run an auxiliary connection and a reverse camera all in one cable. So a lot to like here from this display. Let's check out what comes inside the box. Okay, so here's what you get inside the box. You get a short user manual. You get the display itself, a dashboard or windscreen mount to attach to the display. Here is the single cable with its USB-C connection, and on the other end you've got a USB connector to power the display, an auxiliary connection for audio output over wire, and you get a 2.5mm jack here for a reversing camera as well. And finally, you've got a supplied 12-volt adapter to go into a cigarette lighter socket in your car, which features a USB-C connection to charge your iPhone or Android device simultaneously, as well as the USB-A socket to power the display. Okay, looking over the display then, it is a very nice, aesthetically pleasing looking display. Has a kind of plastic space grey colour material around the outside. Quite relatively thin bezels around the outside, slightly thicker one on the chin. There's no buttons on the top of the display. And on the left hand side here, we've got some I/O ports here. You've got a USB connector here to power the display. Then you've got an additional auxiliary in, should you wish to run that separately to the cable that's supplied. Then in between there, you've got a microphone to detect any voice from the display, from the back of the display, unfortunately, not from the front. Next is an AV in for a dedicated camera, which doesn't come supplied with the display. And then finally got a USB-C port here, which is only for upgrading the whole interface manually, unfortunately. So there's no wired CarPlay or no wired Android Auto. Other sides, we've got nothing on the right side or underneath. There's no speaker grills on the back here because there is no internal speaker on this display. Here you've got a proprietary mounting system, which gets clipped on the underside of the display and locks in place like that. You've got a quick release button on the back, which allows you to remove the display and hide it if you're parking in a not so safe area and you don't want it on show. But it's a proprietary connection to a ball joint, and then you could potentially remove that section and reuse that ball joint with another mounting system, which they also do supply. They supply an additional dashboard mount, or you could attach this to a vent mount instead. Okay, let's get this powered up and see its main menu interface. So I've got the cable connected to a power source in the wall. Let's get this connected now. Nice and quick boot up time, at least to the splash screen. And now we're into the main menu interface. I'm going to get this zoomed in. Nicely presented. You've got some AV in waiting for a signal there. You've got brightness adjustment, system settings, and then we've got CarPlay, Android Auto, and then the additional functionality, you can actually AirPlay to the display as well and play back content from your phone, such as YouTube, on the display. So we'll be checking that out later in this video. We've got a dock here with a clock, CarPlay functionality again, Android Auto, Bluetooth, which takes us to the system settings. And here again, brightness takes us to the system settings for brightness as well. Going for the system, you've got languages. Between those languages, changing the date and time and zone. Bluetooth, you can actually turn that on and off should you wish to not have it available, but you will need that for wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Display, you can have the day and night time display brightness automatically change based on time. And again, for CarPlay, you can have 60 FPS, which is another additional feature of this display. And also you can actually trigger right-hand drive if you're in a right-hand drive country or car. Sound, we've got everything level pegging in the medium. We'll keep that as is for now. This is basically your wireless Bluetooth functionality for Bluetooth audio. So you'll not only wirelessly transmit from your phone, it will also Bluetooth to your car stereo as well. So that's the dual functionality there. FM transmitter, use this to select the frequency to connect to wireless audio over a FM transmission. And then finally, you've got Wi-Fi. So that allows you to have Wi-Fi on, so you can actually connect to a Wi-Fi network should your phone want to connect to that to AirPlay, which is quite handy. So we're going to leave that on for now. So we're now connected to our Wi-Fi. So once we AirPlay on that Wi-Fi network, we don't have to change around with hotspotting and things like that. So that's really, really nice feature to see on this display. So now we're connected. We don't actually have a camera supplied by them, so we can't test the AV in. This will basically take us straight to the brightness and the system settings again from that main menu. So you've got to be mostly looking at this screen, which is their first screen, to connect to CarPlay, Android Auto and AirPlay. Whereas we've got our Bluetooth device here, our iPhone 17 Pro. We've got the Bluetooth profile here, which we're going to connect to. So that's us into CarPlay. We can now go through the motions of the main menu, which is nice and smooth. Slight delay there. It's not as native in its responsiveness than, say, an actual native car display, but these are running relatively decently. Go into maps. Bit of a delay, but kind of expected. A few kind of touch mishits as well. I am running this at an angle, so it takes the input a bit harder to touch when you're not looking at it straight on. But you can see there's a couple of mishits there. Really got to get in there. Let's do route guidance. That's all cool and ready to go. Taking up our dark mode. I'm not sure if we can turn that on and off. Probably due to the time, actually. It's running off the time of the actual display. So if we were to set that properly, that would fix it. So let's go back to the main menu. So we've now set the time correctly. Let's go back into CarPlay now. We're in a bright mode as usual, and now it's in the right correct mode. So it's basically going to run off that clock instead. So making sure that's correct is going to make you have the best experience. So that's maps. A little bit slow on but you've got the FPS of the screen, and the laminated display gives you relatively decent viewing angles, top and bottom. So it's got a decent display with good brightness. Bear in mind that the brightness isn't maxed out either. So that's its maximum. Let's do night as well. Turn night shift off. So now we're into CarPlay at maximum brightness, and that actually looks quite good too in its display viewpoints. So there's no point playing anything now because we're not going to hear it with no internal speaker. So that leaves us to jump in the car now and see how well this display works. So I'll see you there. Well, we're in a different vehicle than normal. We're in the Vauxhall Astra here. It doesn't have any form of CarPlay or Android Auto, just has a FM radio with auxiliary. So in this part of the video, we'll be testing out the auxiliary and FM radio quality in this car system. First, we're going to get this started up. You can see that I've mounted the display using a different mount system than what is provided, but it still fits in with their ball joint mechanism, just that we can repurpose the same mounting system that we've had before in this car. Here you've got a display of where we're going to show you the FM radio signal, and then we've got the single cable that's connected to an auxiliary port on the car system and the USB 12-volt adapter as well. So we're going to start the car, and that's us into the main menu system. We've gone over that already in the studio. So let's get this connected to CarPlay. Okay, and it's now ready for Bluetooth. So we're going to tap here to connect. Pair, allow. Connect to CarPlay. That's us nice and quickly into CarPlay. Now we're going to turn that off and then reboot again to let you know what the boot up time is into CarPlay. Okay, connecting now. That's us into CarPlay from boot. So relatively quickly there. And you can see here the responsive rate as well, as we've seen in the studio. Not too bad. Now we can go over the audio mode. So we're going to get something played up and playing. So that's now playing out. So whilst we play that out, we're going to go into the menu system, go into the FM transmitter. You can see here we're on a 107.4. So we're going to go to 107.4. That's all locked in. There we go. That's the audio playing out through the FM transmission. It's a bit better than most portable displays. It is a little bit high on the gain though, so let's see if we can actually improve this by going into the sound reducing the media a bit. Then we can up the volume in the car. That's a little bit more palatable now. We can go up a little bit more. It's a bit better. So let's go into the CarPlay audio, turn this off. You haven't got too much hiss, so I'll chalk that down as very good, in considering we've seen my other videos and the FM's awful on quite a lot of them, and it's very rare that they're actually quite good, and this is actually one of the good ones. So great FM transmission. Let's now go to auxiliary, which is going to be miles better as well. We're going to take the jack and plug it into the auxiliary. That overrides the car system automatically. Various other car systems might vary. And now we're on the car auxiliary, you can actually press play again. So the bass is lost a bit because the car really hasn't got that much bass anyway in its car stereo. Takes a lot of volume to alter this, so the audio settings might help with that. So you can see the button input is a little bit laggy. You think you've done it and it hasn't done it, and then you tap it again and it has done it. So I'm going to go into sound again, move this up. That's better, especially for auxiliary. So yeah, happy with that. We're at a decent volume as well. And it's all on a single cable. So generally, I think that's very good actually with the auxiliary. We can test out the microphone quality of this display by doing a call test. Hi, this is Anthony from CarPlayLife.com. This is an audio test using the Carabc D808, and I'm just testing the microphone, which I don't think is going to be here. It's going to be on this little microphone here. Okay, audio hasn't resumed on the audio afterwards, and I can't seem to get it to resume afterwards either. If I do it through my phone, perhaps. Yeah. So that's a little bit of a weird bug there. Quality though, not too bad considering the mic is on the far side of the right-hand drive vehicle and it's behind the display. So that's not too bad considering, and it did pick up from the microphone. It wasn't picking up the microphone from here, but if you are using Bluetooth mode, it's going to pick up the microphone from your phone instead. Okay, so that's basically the auxiliary and FM transmission on this display. Both solid passes there on this display. Looks great as well, specifically on this mounting system actually. It's a shame it didn't come with a system that is a bit like that. And generally, yeah, happy with that. So the last thing to check is not only Android Auto, but also Bluetooth audio. So we're going to do those two in the Cupra Born. So I'll see you there. Right, so we're in the Cupra Born now, and we're going to test out the Bluetooth audio for the display. I've got it mounted down using a vent mount clip for a wireless charger, and simply connects, slides in, clicks into place, and it sandwiches underneath that display quite nicely. We get this powered up. That's it all nicely powered up and pairing with my iPhone already. And now we need to go into Bluetooth mode. So to do that, on the car system, we need to go into our Bluetooth section. And then on the display, we need to come out of this, go into Bluetooth, turn on Bluetooth, which restarts the system. Now at this point, the display is basically becoming a passive display unit, and it doesn't do anything to do with the audio. The audio will come from my connected phone. So we're now back into CarPlay, and on our Bluetooth car system, we will connect to Bluetooth. So with our Bluetooth connected, we now have Bluetooth audio from the car display. If you've got a visual display for Bluetooth on your car, you can then interact with that display over your car system. You can even use the wheel controls if you need to, and that's going to basically play through those various tracks through the wheel. Also the call button. Obviously the call button won't work, but volume and things like that will. So if I go up to the display here, I can interact with this and change the track, which will change this, and down here it's changed it down here, and if I push that, you see the track change there, and it will also change up there as well. So it's all very connected using the Bluetooth audio. Bluetooth audio sounds great. It's going to be the best out of all of the audio signals, although the FM is very good, as we've heard. And basically that's it really. You've got a Bluetooth connection, full interaction of the car system itself, using the wheel controls or the display if you've got that in your car. You can try a call. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good call quality. Quite relatively rapid too, because it is all coming through the phone to the car system rather than going through CarPlay. So that's the best of both, really. I'd say the only downside of doing it that way is that the microphone input is going to come from the phone and not from the car microphone. So an audio test. Hi, this is Anthony from CarPlayLife.com. This is an audio test using the Carabc D808, and this is an audio test. Okay, that sounds good. Good quality. Happy with that. Okay, so that's CarPlay. Let's jump into Android Auto now and see how that performs on this display. So we're going to forget all those connections and then jump into Android Auto. Go into here, tap to confirm, pair. Now it's into Android Auto. You can see the Bluetooth has continued and we're now listening to it over this phone. So we now need to connect this to the car, pair, match it up on the display, and that's the audio coming from the Android. Back to the system, you can see everything is slightly squashed in its ratio, unfortunately. These icons aren't square. If you go into the actual icon sheet, you can see they're all squashed. So the real estate isn't a good like for like on Android Auto, unfortunately. But as for the maps, this is Waze. Let's go to Google Maps. We can then tap, go backwards and forwards. Not too responsive on the touch. It's mishitting a few times. Let's do some navigation.
Head southeast on Stanmer Avenue towards Hempstead Road.
But that's working nonetheless, and the audio is passing through the car speakers, obviously, with navigation. Let's do a call test. Hello. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that sounded good. Quite low delay there as well on the calling, so happy with that. And obviously all the navigation of the audio will behave exactly the same through Bluetooth, whether you're using the main car display at the top here or wheel controls. They're all going to work as well through the car system because you're basically controlling your phone at that point. So we've done navigation, we've done audio, and yeah, generally Android looks quite good too. So AirPlay is not allowed on Android, so we're going to go back to our iPhone here and get this paired up to the Wi-Fi. So we've gone to the AirPlay mode on the actual device. Then we need to turn on a Wi-Fi switch. Turn this on. And then under Wi-Fi, we look for our phone to come up here. Now we're connected to our phone here. And then we basically pull this down, go to AirPlay mode again. And then we mirror AirPlay. That's us mirroring our phone. That's the responsive rate. Not too bad actually. Pretty good. Obviously it's a tiny size, so if you've got like an iPhone Max, it's not really going to give you that much extra real estate to then using your phone really. But the only benefit is that you're going to be using over your car speakers. So if we launch up YouTube and go into our test video for audio delay and make that go full screen. Obviously this is Bluetooth as well, the Bluetooth audio.
A few moments later.
Yeah, it seems to struggle with AirPlay from an iPhone for some reason. I can't quite get it to work that well. Playing camera roll content, not a problem, but playing anything like YouTube is a bit of a problem. We'll try Netflix. Doesn't seem to like that either. Just really causes a bit of an issue. So it doesn't really like that either, unfortunately. Okay, I'm going to call that a quit now for AirPlay streaming on this display. You can mirror your phone, no problem, but running any apps on it, there is a bit of an issue there. Okay, so the Carabc D808 portable car display currently retails from their website for $209 US. I'll put links down below to learn more about this display, support the channel, and buy yourself one. Compared to other displays, it is slightly more expensive. It's a little bit cheaper than other laminated displays, and this does have a little more extra functionality than those displays from CarPod Go and Minix with its AirPlay mode, but we have seen that it doesn't actually work that well. You don't get a speaker internally either, as you do in the other two displays. But what I do like is its mounting system, and its 3-in-1 cable connection as well. That keeps it nice and simple. That was a good plus point for this display. It is a little bit laggy on the touch. That's down to the touch hardware really, as well as CarPlay and Android Auto connection. There's a slight delay in the touch responsive rate, and it could be a little bit better. I like that it comes with a power connector that's just using the USB-C cable. That's really nice to see. It's not using the old archaic 12-volt fuse cables, and that's a nice, more modern way of doing it, I think, with the added adapter with the extra USB connector. It's a nice touch. We've seen that the Bluetooth runs really well. We've also seen the auxiliary work really well, as well as the FM transmission in the other car. So that works all good all around, and it's good audio throughout those three options. As for its design and its mounting system, that's good as well. It's got nice minimal bezels, and the mount system, even though it's proprietary, it does have that ball socket that you can take away and insert a different ball socket for a vent mount, for example, as I've done here in my Cupra Born. Some things to be aware of though is that there's no speaker. If you want to use that internal speaker, they're never really that great anyway, so that's not a big major loss. There's no button or facility through software to turn that display off. That's quite a big heavy omission there by not having that option. In addition, the auto brightness doesn't have a toggle to turn that off, and I find that the sensor does detect this and turn the display brightness quite low than I wanted to, and if I put it up to the top, it eventually starts to crawl back down again. So that is a little bit of a problem that could be rectified through software update. There's no way to invoke that side left menu column here on the side once you're in CarPlay or Android Auto. So you have to navigate all the way out if you want to change brightness settings or change the media volume or the phone volume separately. You do have to come all the way out. There's no way to invoke that overlay by swiping from the edges of the screen, which would have been a nice addition. And again, that could be brought in through a software update. And generally, if you were to be comparing this to other displays that are a lot cheaper, you are getting a good quality looking, decent display that's laminated. So it does eke in that extra brownie points to justify its price increase, but I can only really recommend it if they sort out those software features through an update. And if they do that, I'll put that in the comments if they do. But if you don't see that, nothing has really changed and my points are still valid. And it should be something that you should be aware of should you be considering this display. But otherwise, very good display attempt from CarABC. I really do hope they listen to this feedback and implement those kind of features through software and apply an update in the future. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful. If it has, give us a thumbs up down below, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this CarABC display, and I try my best to answer them. If you like this content and you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by sending us a super thanks down in YouTube. You can always hype this video as well as checking out my QR code up here to buy me a coffee, and you can support me there too. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.